Okay, what's the storyline? There's a coming Armageddon in the sky. So all of the superheroes give powers to everybody on Earth for one day to fight against the coming Armageddon. I'd like for you to turn your Bibles to Revelation 20. Starting with verse 1, it says, "And I saw the angel come down from heaven, having the key to the bottomless pit and the great chain in his hand. And he laid hold upon the dragon, that old serpent, the devil, Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years." Continuing on to verse 7, "And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan will be loosed from his prison, and he shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together for battle, the number as of whom the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed around the camp of the saints about that beloved city, and fire came down from heaven and devoured them." So what's going on? In the end, Satan gets loosed one more time to rally against the troops to fight against the coming, not Armageddon, city. So look at what they're putting in everybody's mind. That someday there's going to be something coming that's going to take our humanity's life. We must rally together. We must stand together. Think about X-Men. We must make the final stand. They're making a call, putting it in everybody's mind. I always wondered, how are they going to rally everybody against the city? I mean, don't people know what, haven't they heard of the Bible and what's going on? But if they're conditioned constantly with this type of material, are they rallying the troops already? There was a movie that just came out called Legion. Has anybody heard of this movie? Yes. I'm not going to go into too much depth because it's actually super obvious. But when you think of Legion here, this is Michael the Archangel with an AK-47 and a big knife. And the movie is, here I'll play a couple clips from the trailer so you can kind of just get an idea of what's going on.
When I was a little girl, my mother spoke of a prophecy, of a time when all the world would be covered in darkness and the fate of mankind would be decided. She said God had changed. He was mad at his children.
So what's going on? There's a prophecy that there will be darkness that covers the world, and God will be angry with his children. Okay? And did you notice the little place that they're in? It's called Paradise Falls.
The last time God lost faith in man, he sent a flood. This time, he sent angels.
So here's what's going on. This is Michael, the archangel that was next to God. And he all of a sudden says, you know what, God's laws are too hard, they're too harsh, so I don't want to be under God's rule anymore. So he comes down to earth to fight against God and takes off this so-called chain that they have to God, and he's going to fight with the human race against God. There is a war that's coming, and it's coming at many different angles, from cartoons, from this, from that, but all the same themes. All the same themes. And I mean, it's just, this one's so obvious, but trust me, there's a whole world of people that are going to this, and this is the view that they get of God. That's why it is so important for us to make a stand, an example to those people, so that we will be the shining light, and God's character will be shown through us. So that's why it's important to, everybody. You've got neighbors, friends, anybody you know that goes and sees these things, I want to talk a little bit about this character. How many people know who he is? This is Pan. Pan was a Greek god. He's worshipped by Wiccans and neo-pagans. And in the occult book, The Triumph of the Moon, few neo-pagans traditions recognize Satan or the devil outright. However, many neo-pagans worship some sort of horned god, for example, as a consort of the great goddess in Wicca or Pan, and any similarity that they might have to the Christian devil seems to date back to the 19th century. So basically, we got our idea of the devil with this horn thing with the goat feet and the pitchfork and everything from this character, Pan. Does he really look like that? No, the devil does not look like that. But that's, historically, this is what they're thinking is where we got that idea from, is all Christian art and everything of this character, Pan. Pan is the devil. He is basically Lucifer. And if you dig deep enough, that's just what you find. He's a representation of Satan. Well, he keeps popping up in a lot of movies. Pan's Labyrinth came out in 2006. Basically, this movie won tons of awards at the Academy Awards. Here's the director, Benicio del Toro, and he has a little bit of a fascination with Satan, wouldn't you say? He also made Hellboy, which ironically says, believe it or not, he's the good guy. Do you see how they're flipping the story? Trying to make good look bad and bad look good? Well, anyway, Benicio del Toro, or Guillermo del Toro, sorry, was asked to direct the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. This is also why it's very important to know who's directing what of what you're watching or anything. I mean, I'm hoping that you're not watching anything, but this guy here was going to direct that? That's who Walt Disney was looking at to direct, a Christian allegory? He turned it down because as a lapsed Catholic, he couldn't see himself bringing Aslan the lion back to life. Instead, he directed Pan's Labyrinth, a bloody and harrowing fairy tale that incorporates elements from C.S. Lewis's beloved Christian allegory and other classic children's literature. This is not children's literature, but it has different various elements, I suppose. In fact, a pagan website says perhaps this is the most thoroughly pagan mainstream film to come down the pike. And another website called it a pagan triumph. So if you looked at this movie, this was, pagans were like, yeah, this is bringing our religion into the forefront. Anybody know who this man is? Doesn't recognize him? Philip Pullman. Does that ring a bell? Philip Pullman's a very highly decorated children's literature artist. He won all kinds of awards, things that were just prestigious British Literature Award. He won something that was very close to the Nobel Prize for his children's literature. Some of his books and children's novels have been called that they are the most important things that kids could read in the past 70 years. So he's a very highly decorated children's literature artist, okay? Here's what he says when he was asked what C.S. Lewis would think of his work. I'm trying to undermine the basis of Christian beliefs. Mr. Lewis would think I'm doing the devil's work. Later on, he said, my books are about killing God. He is extremely a staunch atheist, hates God, and wants to basically weed God out from making children's stories on up. So his books have been started to make into movies. The very first movie that came out that in 2007 was called The Golden Compass. And here it says at the top, there are worlds beyond our own, let the Golden Compass show you the way. We all believe that there's a world beyond our own, and we all believe that we have a compass that shows us our way, our compass is being the Bible. So they're taking things that are very close and flipping them upside down. In fact, the little girl, she's fighting against the magisterium, like the majesty. It's all upside down and backwards occultism. Here, I'm going to show you a little clip from behind the scenes of, they each have these little tiny fuzzy characters that follow them around. So I'm going to show you a clip that the director is going to talk to you about who these little fuzzy characters are.
That's odd. She acted as though she'd never seen a person's demon before.
Come on, Pan.
In Lyra's world, which is a parallel universe to our own, you're never alone. You always have this companion for life who is every other facet of you.
Look, Pan. It says I mustn't let Mrs. Coulter get hold of it, or we'll all die.
Everybody has this animal, a demon, which represents